Okay, gonna get the start here, and before I do, just a couple business things. Oh, turn off that sound. Okay, so just a couple business things before we get things started. So first off, let me just kind of go through um, today's lesson. I'm gonna just kind of go through 18.4, 18.5, do a couple examples, and then hopefully that should give you enough information to kind of finish that off on Wednesday, when I do the next live stream at 2 p.m., if you have questions, that would be a good time to take care of those questions. Or, of course, you can always type the questions in Discord and I can answer them at a later time. So, either way is fine. I have in my class files, I have put up the solutions to this. They are not the worked out solutions, they are just solutions. So, you can check yourselves versus the book, making sure that you're, again, understanding. So, with that being said, let's go through and do this. And I actually, before we do that, just a quick note. So I've had a couple questions as to, what's going on with the rest of the year. How are these things being taken care of in regards to live streams and all that sort of stuff. So here's the latest information that I have. And again, I do want to emphasize to you that all this information is subject to change. So I am getting things down from Mr. Ginter, but all those things are constantly kind of changing as this thing unfurls, because this is obviously things we've never dealt with before. So the plan, the current plan is this: that after the spring break, no matter what, whether we are back in school or whether we are doing distance learning, and it is sounding, and again, don't take this as, this is what's happening, but it is sounding like we are going to be doing what's called distance learning. So kind of like we're doing here. But they are saying that we'll actually be doing things like distance learning. So I'll be teaching new lessons, having assignments be due, and things like that. So that is kind of the expectation. So with this stuff that I'm doing right now, my expectation is that once we start back on, I think it's the 16th or whatever, I want to make sure that we we can get going on the quiz for this trigonometric section. So again, because this is review, that seems pretty reasonable. So what will probably end up happening is within a day or two of us, getting off of the spring break, we've had no school. We'll go again. We'll do a review, a normal type of review thing, and then I will give you the quiz, and then we'll kind of move on from there. Now, in terms of the number assessments and things like that, I don't know. I can tell you that after that we're supposed to have a test. I don't know. I'm trying to put something together online. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, that's kind of where we are. So I hope that information is useful to you, because again, that's kind of my plan, but we'll see if that's what happens, because again, maybe things will change. Okay, let's go through this. So the other day I went through 18.1 through 18.3. So today we're kind of I'm just kind of reviewing a couple of things. These things are all pretty much the same. So they're asking us to find all the different measures for these triangles. So first thing I'm asked to do is find AC. And I think you guys would agree I can find AC by using Pythagoras' theorem. So I can say if AC, if I were to call its length x, then 4 squared plus x squared equals 5 squared. And that means x squared equals 25 minus 16, which is 9. So x equals plus or minus 3, but because we're talking about the length of a side of a triangle, that side of the triangle would be 3. Next, and again, as I'm going through this, it's kind of hard for me to tell. So just to let you know, I'm still again getting very used to this. So I don't know how many people are watching this. If anybody's watching this, I think I saw at least one. But if you have questions, just either ask them in chat in the stream channel, or feel free to ask them in the IM2 plus on the Discord channel. And if you are doing that, it would be under the IM2 plus IM2. Where is it? IM2 plus questions and information channel. Okay. And so the question was asked, if we have any questions, do we ask in the stream? That's really, again, that is up to you. So ask them either here, and actually let me, if you don't see that, I see somebody's having a little bit of trouble with the stream, so give me a second. So if you're having trouble, just click on the link that I just sent in Discord, and that's how you can join the live stream. So again, if you have questions, do also recognize there is a bit of a time delay, meaning that when I say something, it takes about 5 or so seconds for you to get hear that on your end, okay? So feel free to ask questions either in the stream chat or in this channel that we're currently in. Okay, back to the lesson here. So let's see. The next thing you have to do is we have to find the measure of angle B. So I'm going to kind of erase this stuff. I need a little bit of room here. So let's see. In order to find the measure of angle B, I'm going to need to figure out which trigonometric function relates my different things here. Now I have a lot of information. So I have all the lengths of the sides of the triangle. So I have a lot of options. So I'm going to say, and this is just what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the two numbers that they specifically gave me. So I'm trying to think about which trigonometric function that involves angle B also involves the adjacent side and involves the hypotenuse. So adjacent hypotenuse, oh, that's cosine. So I can say the cosine of B equals adjacent, which is 4 over 5. And then in order to find the, what's it called? In order to find the measure of angle B, I can say the arc cosine of 4 over 5 equals B, and that value is, calculator time. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm using a calculator that I'm not too super familiar with. Cosine 4 over 5. I get, looks like, what do they want us to the nearest degree? So about 37 degrees. I'm going to kind of pause there, see if you have any questions. By the way, I'm going to jump into the voice channel. I'm going to jump into the general voice channel. So if instead of typing it, if it would be easier for you to say, come to that channel and ask a question, you feel free to. But again, if you want to just type it, that's fine too. Again, only if you have a question. If you're good to go, then we'll just kind of move on. So I'll wait for like 5 seconds. Okay, then let's continue here. So now we're supposed to find the measure of angle C. So let's see here. So let's kind of get rid of some of this stuff. Now I need something. I need a trigonometric function, or sorry, I'm going to need a trigonometric, trigonometric function that involves C and my side. So I'm going to use 4 and 5. I don't have to. I do want to emphasize I could use 3. We know that value, but I'm just using the ones that they gave us. So let's see. A trigonometric relationship that involves 4, 5, and C. Well, that looks like, well, 4 is opposite of C, 5 is the hypotenuse. Okay, so that sounds like sine. So sine of C equals 4 over 5, which means that taking the arc sine of 4 over 5 is going to be equal to the measure of angle C, and that is going to be, I think we kind of know what it's going to be, but let's kind of do it on our calculators anyway. So let's see. Good practice. Arc sine, what was it? 4 over 5 is, I'm getting to the nearest, it's 53 degrees. And that should make sense to us because, again, these two angles right here added together have to add up to 90, right? If angle A is 90, then the other two angles have to add up to 180 degrees. Okay? So I'm going to pause here for about 5 seconds or so and see if you have any questions in regards to that question. Okay, then, so that's going to be how you're going to go through numbers 1 through 3. And again, I'm going to have you guys do those. And we've done these. This is if you're going like, wow, I really feel this is really familiar, this is just a basic review. I'm planning on hitting a little bit more of a little bit more in-depth one on Friday. So basically Friday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be giving you guys, we're going to hit a little bit more in depth with a couple extra type of problems that I put together. And then I'm also, if you guys remember the day or two before we left on Friday, I gave you guys like a practice quiz. I'm going to do that same thing again so that you guys get another opportunity to see that, because that's kind of like the basics of, I want to make sure, again, those basics are good to go. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing for Friday. And I'll be posting that up on my class files. But let's keep on going here. So, and this one's going to apply, it looks like it's going to apply to 4 through 9. So let's see. We're supposed to plot the vertices. So again, and feel free to do this while I'm doing it myself. So we have 6, 6. And 6, 3. That's not 6, 6. That's 6, 0. 6, 3, sorry. So 6, 6 should be here. We have 6, 3, which is here, and then 1, 3, which is here. Okay. So we have this triangle, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. There really isn't much to this. So they want us to find the length of x, y. Well, actually, let's see. So x was 6, 6. Y was 6, 3. Z was 1, 3. So the length of xy, I think you guys would agree, that's a counting thing. That's 3. The length of yz, that is, should be 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then using Pythagoras' theorem, we'll figure out the length of xc. So 3 squared plus 5 squared equals xz, oops, xz squared. So 9 plus 25 is 34. So it's going to be equal to the square root of 34. Again, positive or negative, it's going to be equal to plus or minus, but we only want the positive root. Why am I putting in xz? 34. Okay, let me just double check. 25 plus 9, yeah, that's 34. Okay, so in that regards, we are good to go at that point, hopefully. If you have any questions, again, I'll pause for like 5 seconds or so. Feel free to ask a question. Okay, then at this point, we're going to do the same thing that we did up here. And that is we're going to go find the angle measures, right? So I don't think there's really much to say here. You know the lengths of the sides, right? We know this is 3. We know this is 5. We know this is root 34. I'm going to leave it up to you to go find those angle measures. I would use the sides 3 and 5 only. I wouldn't use root 34, but you can because it is an exact number. Okay. So if there are no follow-ups on that type of question, let's move on to, let's look at this one. I'm looking at number 10. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that we need to talk about on this. Let's kind of go through do this one together. I think number 10 would be a nice one to kind of go through and do together. So let's see. Let's kind of go, so draw a line from the vertex U to the perpendicular to the base of TV. So why don't you guys, I'm going to just let you kind of get a little ahead of me on that. Why don't you go and see what you can do with this first? Okay, so let's just get that first part started. So let's draw our perpendicular line. I know I can't wait too long because I have to throw these up on YouTube and I can't have these long, huge, weird pauses. So we're going to draw a line from the vertex U to the perpendicular to the base TV. So something like that. Okay. Label it with H. Okay. Write the sine of T of angle T. So we actually did this the other day. This is how I did the proof of the area of a triangle. So this is, in fact, this is going exactly through how we came up with the area of the triangle. So I'd like you guys to try this without me. So that means what I'm going to do is this is kind of where I'm going to stop right here. And then if Friday you're like, whoa, that didn't make any sense to me, that would be a good time to ask it. But like I said, we did this in class. So like I said, we did this in class, so there isn't really a reason for me to go through it again unless you have a specific question on it. That being said, I am going to move on, but before I do, in regards to this page, so 18.4, are there any questions that you have? Okay, if not, then let's move on to 18.5. So this one's might be the one that's given, if you're having difficulty, this is going to be the page I think is going to give you difficulty. So let's see what we can do. Given that the cosine equals this, now I want to remind you they're doing two things here, okay? So, and here's the two things that they're giving you. First off, they're saying, hey, let's draw a triangle. And right now, we're not going to worry about positives or negative or anything like that. We're just going to draw a right triangle. And this right triangle is going to have the following features. The cosine of theta, so if you put theta here, we can always put theta there. The cosine of theta equals that. So remember, the way we deal with that is we turn this into a fraction. So I'm going to take that that's 0.707 and turn it into a fraction. So let's see, cosine, well, that's adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's going to be 0.707 over 1. Now they're going to ask me to find something else, in this case, sine. So you can probably guess what we're going to need to do first, and that is, if this is y, I'm going to need to find the value of y. Okay, so let's go through and do that. So I'm going to say, let's see, so 0.707 squared plus y squared equals 1. And let's see what we get here. So I get y squared so far, just doing the math so far, I get y squared equals 0.5001. Well, I'll just, 115. I mean, I don't know why I'm going out that far, but I can. Let's see. Let's just make sure that math is right. So x squared plus y squared equals 1. 1 squared. Not that it matters. So subtracted that. That looks good. And then we're going to take the square root. So y equals plus or minus the square root of this. So, and I get, and feel that can't be right. Let me try it again. So let's see. 0.05, nope. 50015, 0.50 raised to the, that gives me, oh, I guess it is. Phil, that's okay. I get 0.707 again. I didn't expect that. 0.070. I don't know if that's what you guys got. Hopefully it is, but I don't see an issue with my math. I took the square root, so it looks right to me. So I get this. So now they're asking for the sine. So I know what y is, but now what I have to do is I have to look at this and I have to say, okay, in this quadrant, so we have to think about what quadrant is this in? Is sine positive or negative? So going back to our unit circle. So here's my unit circle, right? This goes from 0, this goes to pi over 2, this goes to pi, this goes to 3 pi over 2. So in this case, we're talking anything in this quadrant right here. So we go, oh, in that quadrant, sine is positive. So sine is going to be opposite over hypotenuse. So in this case, it's going to be 0.707. Okay? I'm then going to kind of go through that whole process with all of these, right? So we're going to kind of go through, let's maybe do one more of these just to kind of make sure that makes sense. But that's going to be the process for literally all of these. So let's get rid of this stuff. Actually, I'm going to give you like 5 seconds or so to see if you have any questions before I do get rid of anything. So again, feel free if you have a question to please ask. Okay. If not, then let's keep on going. Let's get rid of this and let's do number 2 because it looks a little, maybe a little harder. I'm not gonna say it's a lot harder, but it looks a little bit harder. So what I think this answer was 0.707. I just erased it, but I think that's what it was. Okay, let's see here. So what I'd like you to do right now, so try staying ahead of me if you can. Let's set up a triangle with this. Now I want to remind you, we're not worrying about the positive and negative right now, okay? So you can ignore the negative right now. So just kind of set up a triangle where the sine of theta equals 0.866. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to call this theta. So I'm going to call the opposite side 0.866. I'm going to call this x, and I'm going to call this 1. I'm sorry. Let me backtrack. I kind of jumped the gun just a little bit here. I do want to remind you, sine theta, we turn this into a fraction over 1, right? And that's opposite over hypotenuse. Again, I'm ignoring the negative because I can deal with the negative afterwards. I don't care that the sign is negative right now. Okay, so now let's see what we've got. So in this case, they want us to, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go find the value of x. And the way I'm going to do that is just like last time. I'm going to say x squared plus 0.866 squared equals 1 squared, which means x squared equals, well, actually, x equals plus or minus the square root of 1 minus 0.866 squared. So let's go figure out what that is on our calculators. Let's see. So I get, when I am finished, and again, feel free to double check me. It's very easy for me to mess up. I get x equals 0.5, basically. I mean, it's 0.5 all the way, pretty far out. So assuming that I'm right, and again, if I'm wrong, let me know. But assuming that I'm right, now what I have to do is I have to deal with a quadrant. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I know what x is, so this is 0.5. So let's see, what's the question asking? So it's asking for cosine. Cosine, I think you guys would agree, is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the cosine of theta is going to be 0.5 divided by 1, or 0.5. Now, the last thing I need to know, so I know this value is going to be 0.5, but what I don't know is, whoops, wrong spot. What I don't know is, what quadrant is it in, right? Is it positive or negative? I don't know why that's acting weird. So in this case, I'm going to go to this right here. So I need to figure out what quadrant are they talking about. So in regards to my unit circle, again, 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2. So they're saying between pi and pi over 2. That's quadrant 3. Let's see, cosine in quadrant 3 is negative. Therefore, this value is negative. Okay, and that's basically the idea for this. See if you have any questions. I'm going to pause for like 5 seconds or so, see if you have any questions. Okay, in regards to the stuff that you've already done, so that's what I have for you today. But in regards to anything from the first part, so we did 18.1 through 18.3, were there any questions that you wanted me to go over in regards to that? So I'm doing those type of questions. I'm doing, like, think of them like questions from the week before, the day before. I always do those at the end. That way people who are watching the videos or people who want to leave can do so. Or like I said, if people who are watching the videos later on YouTube can finish there. So are there any questions on 18.1 through 18.3 that you wanted me to go over? Okay. Well, if you don't have any questions, I do want to encourage you to, for just a couple of notes, is again, I do want to, so first off, I do want to remind you on Wednesday, I'll be doing another live stream, 2 p.m. That one's going to go a little more in depth with some of the calculus, not the calculus, sorry, the trigonometry stuff. So I'll have a few, I'll put up a review sheet for that day, and then we'll just kind of go through a couple things on there. And then, like I said, I will at that on that same day, I will have a think of it like a self quiz that you can do, very similar to the one that we did before. Okay. Other than that, I thank you for your time, and I will hopefully see and talk to you. Well, I hopefully will talk to you guys next. What I say, Wednesday.